Hey everyone, sorry for the crease shirt. I should have ironed it before I came online, but I couldn't be asked, so I just left it as it was. I've been suffering from chronic depression, which means I haven't left the house. I can't even remember when I left the house. I think it was. I've left the house to go across the road, but when I've left the house, it was like, huh. It was 2 weeks ago Wednesday, the last time I left the house. So I've been in this house for nearly a fortnight. At this point, I usually only go out when I have money anyway, or when I want to go shopping. So I've had chronic depression for a while now, and as a result, I haven't left the house. But instead of kind of going stir crazy and just like dissociating again and all that type of stuff, what I've actually been doing is using this time to do some research into finances. And of course, if you've checked out a website called I Am Not a Prototype, I am one of the volunteers advising on mental health policy, as I have a lot of experience with the mental health profession and their corruption with regards to targeted individuals. So I'm doing research into money, I'm doing research into how I can become a more powerful influence in terms of changing policy when it comes to mental health. And on top of that, I've been playing a lot of Avion. So I have been busy in here. I've been cleaning as well. So I haven't just sat in this building with my chronic depression doing absolutely nothing, like I've been doing my research and everything else. Now, when it comes to the gangstalking, it's at the quiet stages at the moment. I do get a couple of taunts here and there about saying, oh, the owners want her out. This is the thing, though. This place is not like London. In London, you have housing associations or housing trusts worth billions of pounds over there. Over here, that is not what we're dealing with. The people who own the property are not the people who are representing the property itself. So the way it works is this, right? These group of buildings are owned by a group of investors, and the company itself is managed by a bunch of directors, right? So there are 3 directors and they're all family members that are running this investment company. So it's basically a 3-pronged approach, or 4-pronged. There's me, the tenant, then there's the council, then there's the representative for the landlords, and then there are the landlords themselves who belong to an investment company. Now, at the last account's end, this investment company was worth £16,384,688. Now, it seems like a lot when I basically refer it back to you. It seems like a lot of money, but you have to remember 2 things. One, Sussex is really, really big. Sussex is huge. In comparison to London, Sussex is fucking huge. Okay? So they've got all this land and all this territory with a fraction of the money that London is getting. Because remember, London is a financial hub at the moment. So where their housing trusts are situated in London, like I said, Notting Hill Genesis, 7.6 billion. Okay? They're worth a lot of fucking money. So these people, these landlords who are in charge of these properties, it's not like they're too big to fucking fail here. Okay? It's not like they're too big to fail. So even if these people taunting me about wanting to get me out of the building, even if they could make good on their threat, all I have to do is contact the local news, tell them the circumstances of everything, and they could take it up as a news story. There was this woman who was visiting family in Liverpool. She was a Liverpudlian. And what her landlord did, I'm not going to say her name, but what her landlord did was change the locks while this woman was away in Liverpool, which I'm pretty sure is an unlawful thing to do, right? Change the locks while she was visiting family in Liverpool with her 11-year-old son. Her and her son came back to the situation to find their clothes, find their belongings out, and and de-escalation had to be called in. That made the local news. So you can imagine somebody from London with a supposedly checkered past or mental health issues or vulnerable woman. You can imagine if she ends up being kicked out in direct defiance of the post-COVID eviction rules and the court order, okay? You can only imagine, if that made the local news, how that would affect shareholders' money. Now, I get that the shareholders are not entirely reliant on reputation, because remember, they get most of their assets. It's not just money. It's also bonds. It's also gilts. It's also I don't know if certificates of deposits are involved, but there's all kinds of liquid assets wrapped up in that. So it's not entirely dependent on reputation, but it really does not look good for the company that, is representing them to have this vulnerable woman tossed out on the street on the say-so of some people that are increasingly being found guilty of harassment. It's not going to look good. It's not going to look good. This is why the investment company chooses a middleman, because that investment company is not too big to fail. Okay? It's not too big to fail. It's big. It's big enough to have all these properties, but it's not too big to fail. Okay? So you can imagine a vulnerable woman being tossed out on the street. And the thing is, this relocation agent had been going around to my neighbors saying the owners are going to get rid of her. So basically, the relocation agent themselves has been doing their own dark PR when it comes to the investment companies that they actually work for. Okay? So they already did that ahead of me, right? All I have to do is show the receipts of how the relocation agent has been approaching me. This is why the relocation agent is not allowed to talk to me. All I have to do is show them receipts, show the news story people receipts, show them receipts of how I've been treated in the past, and how mental health has been involved in this corruption. Because remember, it doesn't necessarily have to be that a patient is necessarily that sick enough to need sectioning or need medication. All it is that you need to prove that this person is difficult to control or difficult to deal with. That's where the medications come in. That's where the sectioning comes in. Right? All I have to do is show the receipts. Game over, okay? You're only worth 16 million. Don't get ahead of yourself. That's A. B, even if you did get rid of me, remember it's a minimum of 4 months notice before you get the Section 21 court order, okay? So at minimum, if you wanted to get rid of me as soon as the December contract was up, we are talking about 4 months notice. So the likelihood is that even if they didn't want me here anymore, I would be leaving in April at the latest. I would not be leaving in December. I would be leaving in April. And anybody who works for the council would advise tenants to stay where they are until a Section 21 is brought to them. And even then, you may not even have to leave immediately upon a Section 21. You may have to leave immediately upon, I can't remember what the other paperwork is called, but the eviction notice is Section 21. Then after Section 21, you have to get something else. Now, depending on how much money the shareholders have, once again, they're 16 million deep. If they can't even afford to fix the door, they definitely can't afford to speed up the court process. Okay? Okay? Right. They can't afford a door. They can't afford to speed up the legal process and getting somebody out. So we're not about to do this. Okay? So there's Section 21, and then there's an additional eviction order that has to be processed through the courts. Now, they're saying it's at least 4 months, but it's likely to take upwards of 6 to 8 months in order to finalize everything. And in the meantime, the council they're always going to advise you to stay where you are until you get an actual eviction notice. Not a Section 8 or a Section 21, an actual eviction notice. That can take months. All right? So, yeah, get me out. I mean, shit, have at it. If that's what you really want to do, have at it. If you really need to fucking try to get a rise out of me, get me angry to the point where I might get violent or stuff like that, or, you know, I'm not that type of person, and you should consider yourself lucky, because if I was, not only would I be leaving here, I'd be leaving thousands of pounds worth of damage when I walk out that door. And because I'm mentally vulnerable, the council ain't going to pay for it. It might come out of the deposit that the council paid, but they're not going to pay for it beyond that. That is left with the £16 million shareholders to deal with. That is left with the £16 million shareholders to deal with. These people are carrying on with some bullshit when they know they're not too big to fail at this point. They're carrying on with some nonsense when they know they're vulnerable. When they know they're vulnerable and they know they need renters like me. You need me, because I'm the one who's making shit better around here. You wanted to see the state of the fucking stairs before I cleaned it. Hell, you wanted to see the state of this place before I started getting my diva on and kept fucking hounding people about the blinds and the heating and the shower. Like, I kept hounding people. That's why I kept getting what I wanted, is because I kept hounding people. You need we. You need me. I'm not the one who needs you like that, because I'm a vulnerable woman and I can also always get somewhere. You need me. You need Myron. So I don't know what the fuck you're carrying on with, mate. You might be worth millions, but millions increasingly doesn't mean a whole lot with fuel shortages and food shortages and increasingly expensive delivery charges. Basically, the relocation agents said it themselves. Deliveries are more delayed, they're more expensive. You are not too big to fail. So the neighbours need to knock it off. The relocation agent needs to knock it off. All of you need to knock it off. You're not too big to fail, knock it off. And Brighton News is the type of news, local news, they're dying for a fucking story. Dying for a fucking story. You should see the stuff that they put in their newspapers. They're dying for a fucking story. This one is juicy as shit. My story is juicy as shit. Don't mess with me. At the end of the day, right? If they want to get rid of me, fine. But it's like they don't want to do anything through the proper channels. They always want to pick fights. All right, pick a fight. Pick a fight, I got you. Because you might be richer than me, but you ain't that fucking rich. Not with the way the economy's going. Not with the way these assets are going. The economy's all the way down the toilet. So what do you think happens to the interest rates on them assets you got? Don't fuck with me, man. Don't fuck with me on this. Not the one for that. Don't do that with me. So yeah, if even like a network homes, let's see how much network homes is worth. Who's representing network homes? I think they're worth a lot. I think they're worth quite a network homes net worth. They're worth quite a bit, network homes. I think I got up their worth last time, but I have to remind myself. So network homes, as of as of 2018, their turnover had increased by 17% to £275,100,000. A company worth 275 million £100,000 couldn't contain me. Brent Mind, who are themselves worth millions, couldn't contain me. They couldn't control me. So what the hell do you think you're going to be able to do around here? Don't fuck with me, man. Don't mess with me. Do not mess with me, because money talks. And if you guys look bad, then your shareholders look bad. Your reputation is everything. Like, your reputation is worth more to you than Brent's reputation ever was to them. They're worth like so much more than you. Don't go there. And so I'm just seeing my net worth right now. Money talks. Money talks. Don't do that. Money talks. You understand? So total funds from Rent Mind in one account year was millions. They're worth millions too. BWW Mind worth millions. Head office worth millions. I think the head office or the entire Mind charity is worth like about 56 million. I'm not sure though. But if those companies worth millions of pounds couldn't contain and control me with the amount of shit that I've known, again, people are scared of me. A lot of people are scared of me. And these people were basically heading up companies worth millions of pounds here. Billions in some cases. And they're scared of little old me. You have to wonder why that is. And ever since I had an argument with the police last Saturday, and I cussed them out because they were cussing me out and they were saying stop talking, and I was like, no, don't patronize me. So we ended up having a whole argument on the phone. These gang stalkers haven't bothered me since. And even if this investment company were to sell, I would still need at least 2 months notice before the Section 21 comes in. And even then, any proper member of the council would advise you to stay until you have an actual eviction notice, which can take months. And remember, this investment company that I'm living with over here, my landlords, my actual landlords, not the people representing my landlords, my actual landlords, they own multiple homes. So in order to get rid of me properly, they'd have to sell up every single piece of their fucking property. They'd literally have to sell up, well, I don't know about every single piece, but they'd have to sell up this place. They'd have to sell up this place. Not one flat. They'd have to sell up the whole building. At least this building alone. If not all the others as well. They'd have to sell up. And they'd have to give each tenant at least 2 months notice. And even then, after the Section 21, the council will always advise you to stay. They will always advise you to stay until you get an actual eviction notice from the court. And until the eviction notice is court ordered, the council will always advise tenants to stay. So, again, this is the thing, right? What gang stalking does is they get you focused on things that are petty, and they get you focused on things that are like minuscule, and they get you so wrapped up that you start believing it. But it's like you have to unpack. You have to unpack everything, and you have to kind of, when they say something, it's not that you ignore them. You don't ignore the gang stalkers. Don't ignore the gang stalkers when they taunt you. Instead, pick their fucking argument apart. Pick their taunts apart. Pick their gaslighting apart. And really look deep. Because one thing is that is absolutely for sure is that money talks and bullshit walks. The reason why gang stalking is still going on is because at some point it made a lot of money. Remember, it's not just government involved in this. It's criminal networks. It's very, very big business that is involved in all this shit. That's why it's still going. Money talks and bullshit walks. Look at the money. Look at the finances. The numbers don't lie. The numbers do not fucking lie. And then you have to look at the circumstances as well. Shortage of food, shortage of delivery, shortage of... How much is that £16 million really going to be worth? If they keep alienating their tenants like this. And trying to colour code the tenants, by the way. I'm pretty sure that even if the relocation agent isn't racist, I don't think she's racist enough to deny people a place to stay. I don't think the relocation agent is up to anything like that. But my neighbours, the landlords, we all know how some real estate agencies get down. We all know about colour coded business. We all know about that. I'm lucky enough to even be here. Because they don't like outsiders, and especially not if them outsiders are dark. The amount of times people thought I was African and they were absolutely stunned out of their minds when I could speak English. We all know this shit is color coded too, so let's not get it twisted. But the thing is, they're playing with the tenants are playing, not the tenants, the landlords are playing with fire by doing this shit. The gang stalkers of this community are playing with fire. How picky do you think you can afford to be when resources are dwindling? That's my fucking point. How much do you think that money, that fucking return, them fucking returns are going to be worth? You better get your money up before you start doing any of that bullshit. And you're not going to get your money up by cutting corners. I can tell you that right now. You're not going to get your money up by cutting corners and pissing off your tenants. And bad-mouthing them. And engaging in smear campaigns. You're not going to get it that way. Like I said, Brent Mind as a whole organisation, when last I checked, I think it's 56 million that the whole of Brent Mind is worth, or the whole of Britain, 56 million. And then you got Network Homes worth over 200 million. These companies were scared of little old me. Why were they scared of little old me? Why are they scared of a big black woman who's vulnerable, who nobody are going to listen to anyway? Let me tell you something. Why the fuck would they be scared of me? Knowing good and goddamn well a problem like me is easily solved the rest of the time, like any other person who is like me. We're a problem that's usually easily solved, so why are people afraid of me? Think. Sorry about the noise in the background, it's dryer. I've learned to tune it out, you see. So I know when I play this back, this shit is going to annoy me, but I've learned to tune it out when it comes to this stuff, because gang stalking, I'm used to tuning out noise. But anyway, yeah, I'm not the one to mess with. I'm not the one to mess with. I am not. I am not. Treat people right. Treat people right. And for any gang stalkers that are thinking that killing me is going to work out for you, I've exposed all your shit, so yeah, you can go ahead and decide right now how much that's going to be worth to your reputation and to your fucking shares, and how that's going to affect your shareholders. I'm just saying. Anyway, I love you guys. Take care of yourselves. Oh, by the way, I'm not talking about like the investments companies trying to kill me. I'm not talking not talking about that. I'm talking about the gang stalkers who are kind of in between the cracks, who are operating the electronic weaponry, who are basically thinking that they're Billy Big Bollocks. If I suddenly die of a heart attack or stroke, or you're going to know that's not down to me. And you're going to know that's down to the gang stalking. And once people know that I've been murdered, how do they think that's going to affect their shareholders? How do they think that's going to affect the shareholders of the people who own the properties that I've been a part of? How do they think it's going to affect them? Why do you think, again, things like this, why do you think they go down the mental health route every time we talk about this? Diminishes evidence in court, diminishes it diminishes our culpability for sure for any crimes that we might commit, but it also diminishes our ability to give evidence in court, which protects the money. And if we're on benefits, then all they have to do is give us a little paltry compensation and it affects our benefits. I've seen it happen with my mum. So, anyway, I love you guys, my fellow TIs. You take care of yourselves. Mwah. You strengthen yourselves up, okay? Remember, there is so much to be grateful for, so much of life to be thankful for. You're not alone. You're not by yourselves. Check out the website of iamnotaprototype.com. You know, it is spearheaded by Winnie Mangwende, who is a TI and who is a photographer, and yeah, go and check that out. And as for me, I'm continuing to do my financial research and my mental health research, all the research there. Me, I do it, okay? Me, I do it. All right? So, I love you guys. You take care of yourselves. Mwah. Bye-bye. Oh.